AI podcast.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're digging into stories that really make you rethink things, especially political careers. And today's is, well, it's pretty wild.
It really is. We're looking at Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, or PMX, as he's often called. And the mission today, I guess, is to see how his journey from prison to power isn't just history. It's this really human story that connects with, the kind of volatility and narrative shifts so many of you see all the time now. We're drawing on political science, sure, but also just looking at resilience itself.
It's like the ultimate glow-up story, maybe one you didn't even know you needed.
Yeah.
It's got lessons on perseverance, changing tack, and, well, the underdog coming out on top. So let's get into it.
Okay, so where to start? Anwar Ibrahim's career path. It's definitely not been linear. He was a big deal back in the 90s.
Yeah, rising star.
Totally. Deputy Prime Minister, Finance Minister, this was 93 to 98. Everyone thought he was next in line, especially during that big economic boom Malaysia had.
He was kind of an influencer before influencers, right?
Yeah.
But focused on actual system change, not just personal branding. Started as an Islamic youth leader. Then Mahathir Mohamad brought him into the ruling party.
And he just shot up.
Yeah, meteoric rise.
Yeah.
But then, bang, the whole thing flipped. What happened next? Just it defies political gravity, really.
Absolutely. And, before we even had terms like cancel culture, PMX went through the most extreme version, actual jail time.
Wow.
So 1998, he's arrested, corruption, sodomy charges that international groups like Amnesty International immediately flagged. They called them trumped up, politically motivated.
Okay, so arrested in 98, then sentenced in 99. 6 years for corruption.
Yeah.
How did that land? Especially with all the controversy around the charges. Was that the moment Reformasi really blew up?
That was absolutely it. His jailing lit the fuse for the Reformasi movement. It became this massive, passionate demand for reform, for justice, an end to corruption. It was genuinely grassroots. Students, activists out on the streets in Kuala Lumpur demanding change.
So he was in prison from 99 until 2004.
That's right, April 99 and 2004.
And you'd think, okay, maybe that's the end of that chapter. But no. The story twists again. He gets acquitted of sodomy charges later in 2012.
But the government appealed.
Right. And that led to another conviction in 2014, 5 more years.
Yeah.
And the highest court rejected his final appeal in 2015. So he spent, the better part of 2 decades tangled up in the legal system?
Pretty much. In prison, on trial, fighting appeals. It's longer than many young adults today have actually been alive.
That's just staggering.
But what's really key here isn't just that he survived it. It's how he used it. Each setback, each prison term, each court case, it became a platform. He turned it into fuel for Reformasi, rallying support even from inside prison. It wasn't just bouncing back. It was like a strategic move, turning personal hardship into political energy.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In this age of wanting everything now, how do you actually survive something like that, let alone reclaim the narrative and end up stronger? He played the long game.
An incredibly long game. His constant push for Reformasi over decades, despite what it cost him personally, that points to some deep conviction. And he didn't just fade away, he staged this huge comeback, leading the opposition from 2008 to 2015.
And he managed to unite them, right? That Pakatan Rakyat coalition.
Exactly. Pulled together these different opposition parties into a single bloc. That was a massive shift in Malaysian politics, really changed the whole landscape.
And it's fascinating now seeing this figure who came up before the internet really took off.
Yeah.
Having to navigate this world dominated by TikTok and, X now. His digital efforts, sometimes they seem a bit clunky.
It'd be a little awkward sometimes, yeah.
But it's kind of endearing, isn't it? It shows him adapting like we all have to. Makes him feel more human, maybe. Less like a polished politician.
Which leads us to the big moment, the climax. November 24, 2022. He's 75 years old. And the king appoints him Malaysia's 10th prime minister.
After a really messy election result.
That's right, an inconclusive election. But this appointment, it capped this insane 3-decade journey. Protege, prisoner, opposition leader, and finally, prime minister. Leading a unity government, no less, which is totally new territory for Malaysia.
Just an absolutely monumental moment. I read accounts of people, parents and their kids who'd followed his whole struggle for decades.
Yeah.
Just openly crying when he was appointed.
Yeah.
It wasn't just politics. It felt like this huge release, this collective catharsis. Like, wow, it actually happened.
And then there's the plot twist that just makes the story even wilder. Reconciliation. Maybe the most astonishing part is his relationship with Mahathir Mohamad.
The guy who threw him in jail in the first place.
The very same one. the man who orchestrated his downfall in '98. But then Anwar gets a royal pardon, a full clearing of his record by the king after the 2018 election. And who led the coalition that won that election?
Mahathir Mohamad.
Right.
It almost beggars belief. The person who destroyed his career becomes his ally. Now, okay, you can see the strategic angle, right? Put aside the personal stuff for the bigger democratic picture, but man, what a tightrope walk that must have been. Did that cause problems? Did it tick off some of his long-term supporters?
Oh, it was definitely a gamble, a calculated one. For Anwar, I think it showed he was willing to put those personal grievances aside for what he saw as the main goal, getting the ruling coalition out after decades.
Okay.
And for you, maybe watching this, especially if you're used to politics being very black and white, very us versus them, maybe even a bit of cancel culture, this offers a different way of looking at things.
Yeah.
The idea that maybe redemption is possible, that you can work with old enemies if the stakes are high enough. It's complex.
It really is. So, okay, let's zoom out. Beyond the drama, the twists.
Yeah.
What are the real lessons here? What can you take from PMX's story? I mean, resilience just screams out, doesn't it? Setbacks aren't the end, they're just plot points.
Exactly. And for you, maybe facing your own challenges, climate change worries, job insecurity, all that global stuff, his ability to just keep getting back up, to endure and then push forward strategically. That's a powerful model for sheer grit.
And then there's authenticity. You hear that word thrown around a lot, but his career feels brutally authentic sometimes, right?
Yeah, awkwardly so at times.
The struggles, the imperfections, even the verbal slip-ups, they make the story feel real, not manufactured. In an age of perfectly curated Instagram feeds.
Right. What does it say that someone so unfiltered connects so deeply when so many leaders are trying so hard to be perfect? Maybe perfection isn't the goal.
It speaks volumes. And he's definitely the ultimate underdog, isn't he? Your generation tends to root for the underdog, the one fighting against the odds. And PMX was that for decades, fighting from way behind.
His win isn't just political. It's that classic story. Defy the odds, prove people wrong, stick to what you believe in.
And he's adapted to the digital world too, hasn't he? Engaging younger people on X, on Instagram, that mirrors how so many of you live your lives. Mobile first, news, shopping, it's all online.
And that underdog story, fighting the system for so long, it actually kind of fits with influencer culture in a weird way, where being real, being authentic, sometimes counts for more than having the slickest PR machine.
And here's maybe a key thing. People often forgive mistakes if leaders actually own them, right?
Yeah.
Show some accountability.
Yes.
Anwar seems to do that. Like
Yeah.
those posts on X in 2023 talking about the difficulties of governing.
Yeah.
That kind of transparency, acknowledging the hard stuff, that builds trust with people who value honesty.
And his whole story just flies in the face of instant gratification culture. We're all conditioned now for immediate results, quick wins. He played a game that took, 24 years to reach its peak?
Yeah.
He didn't rage quit. He built things, parties, networks, and just waited, patiently pushed.
Which maybe points to something bigger. His imprisonment wasn't just about him.
Yeah.
Right? It was about the courts, the press, democracy in Malaysia. And his final success suggests that these big systemic problems, they need systemic solutions. People working within the system, sometimes against it, but over the long haul.
Precisely. His success wasn't just charisma, though he has that. It was building institutions that lasted. Political parties, civil society groups, international contacts. These things kept going even when he was locked up. The opposition didn't just collapse without him.
That shows sustainable change needs more than just one leader, doesn't it?
It really does.
And all this feels so relevant now with democracy under pressure in different parts of the world. His experience, being targeted by the judiciary, facing authoritarian power, it resonates. It shows what decades-long resistance looks like.
But the personal cost involved, too. It's not an easy path.
So wrapping up, PMX's journey from the political wilderness to the top job. It's like a masterclass in political judo, maybe. Personal strength and just the sheer power of sticking to the story. For you, trying to make sense of a world that's always changing, always noisy, PMX offers this really compelling, maybe chaotic, but compelling roadmap. Agree with his politics or not, you just can't ignore the audacity of the comeback.
It's like acing the final exam after being expelled twice. You got to respect that level of tenacity.
Absolutely.
And maybe the final thought is this. In our era of wanting everything fast, his story shows a different way. It's proof, maybe, that real conviction, smart patience, and building solid foundations that can actually win out against repression in the end.
That the arc of justice. it might be really, really long.
But it can bend towards justice, right?
Yeah.
If people are willing to keep pushing, keep bending it for decades.
And it's 75. Maybe he's just getting warmed up.